Washington State Patrol says a new law that raises the bar for when law enforcement can actually go after suspects has not surprisingly led to a spike in the number of people refusing to pull over for police. That's first topic for KTTH. Seattle Talk Radio host Jason Rantz in tonight's lightning round. Welcome, Jason.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, you write and say law enforcement agencies in Washington reporting a high number of instances where criminal suspects refuse to pull over during investigations because of a Democrat anti-policing bill. Many times the suspects are in stolen cars. Washington State Patrol says troopers encountered nearly 1,000 instances of suspects refusing to pull over. What's the real world impact of this and what you're reporting on?
The real world impact is that we are seeing criminals feeling emboldened to continue to commit criminal acts. I mean, under the law that was passed a year and a half ago by Democrats in their reimagining policing shtick, they decided to pretty much ban vehicular pursuits. The only time that officers can actually do that is if there is reasonable suspicion for a DUI, so that hasn't changed. However, you have to have probable cause that a violent crime had occurred, that it's an escaped felon, or it was a sexual assault crime. Now, probable cause, as you know, is a very high bar to use in order to actually go ahead and pursue. So that almost is never going to be the case for these officers. They'd have to literally be there at the moment the crime occurred for them to reach that probable cause standard. So what we're having is they're trying to pull people over. They're choosing not to. We had one instance, one weekend, of 23 times criminals were refusing to pull over and just driving away in one county. I'm talking to sheriffs all the time, and they're saying this is happening all across the state, and it's happening every day.
Criminals know what's up when these things change. All right, let me ask you about another story. You're reporting on a number of college staffers attended this you call radical anti-racist political workshop. It says we want to move people away from I'm an individual white person being an anti-racist by reading a lot of books to I'm part of something bigger with other white identified people by building cross-system relationships, coalitions, networks for a larger collective work of anti-racism in the community and technical college system. According to the conference notes, okay, those sound like good goals. What's going on here?
Well, they sound like good goals until you realize this is just the anti-racist propaganda where on paper you're like, oh, well, of course I'm against being racist. But really what this is engendering this belief that all white people are the beneficiaries of white privilege, that they didn't earn anything, and that anyone who's not white is a victim. They are oppressed by the white person, and because of any perceived failure, it's not because of anything they did, it's just because they don't have the white privilege, and we live in this white supremacy world that needs to be dismantled. And, you know, lots of people on the left, it's a fringe group, but in that fringe group, they believe this, and, you know, lots of people believe silly things. But when you are an administrator or an educator, that danger is looking through that lens to come up with policies that dictate behaviors of students and maybe punishments of students and really even grades of students. If you believe that white privilege is the only reason someone might have gotten into a course, wouldn't you then decide to deduct a few points every single time they put in an essay or take a test? Because they didn't really earn that slot, and we have to even things out. I just think it's a dangerous ideology, and it's not based in reality.
Well, folks can read more about it at My Northwest, where you have interesting articles every single day. Jason Rantz, it never ends. Thank you.
Thanks, Shannon.